The first project on which I worked on Power Automate was when I was asked to provide a website providing our last revision drawings for the machines for both welders and fitters to external contractors. Indeed, in-house, we just have this database management, which is also managing the lifecycle of documents, and that is accessible from our company server. And the company didn't want everyone to have this client and the link straight to the server. So just to upload the drawings, to create the web page, etc., was a big task to handle and not a very pleasing one. So my understanding was it was possible to automate all that. I prefer to take my time digging into Power Automate. This is not an amazing flow, and I would do it differently today, but still I'm very proud of it because it was difficult actually to do, especially when you knew nothing to Power Automate, which was my case. So basically what I did is when a folder was uploaded in a certain library on this SharePoint site, it will detect if it's in a particular format, and if yes, would start an uploading process. First, it will check if the part number and the file folders are already existing or not, if this is a creation or a revision. And if it is a creation, then we create the different libraries, we set the permissions, and if it is a revision, we just delete all the files that are present in the libraries. And then in both cases, we create an item in a list to trigger another flow. That's how I decided in these days to compartmentalize my different steps of the flow. And then as my original database management was allowing me to already parse the drawings between the different categories that were relevant for me here, I just have something sorting the files between the different libraries and an email warning me that everything went fine. But then another engineer was hired, and the pace of revision just became hectic, and I couldn't follow with all the manual manipulation that I had to do. So first, what I did is use Power Automate for desktop to prepare the files that I had to upload to feed this website. And basically, I managed to pilot from an Excel file a kind of loop that would allow me to retrieve the files that were needed. So all of this here, I have just clicked OK for the first message box, which was asking me if I wanted to format for the Mastec Document Center or for other context of use. I won't show you these other contexts of use, but it will set up different properties in order to do this retrieving of files. And here it has started with the first one. It is recording all the different drawings. There is no way to do that from a SQL requests, for example, because the drawings are hard-coded into the database. So there is only this way to retrieve the different PDFs. And here, as you can see, it's finishing to do it. And then it will launch the process for the next part number. And again and again and again, which is very useful because I can have sometimes 20 machines, for example, that will be revised, and then this manipulation to do for 20 machines. Here, I just have to do an Excel file with a different number, and it will do the annoying job for me automatically. The problem was not just the amount of revisions. The fact that this engineer was new implied as well that he was doing a lot of mistakes with the use of our database management suite. So validating the work he was doing and checking everything could take hours, and it did sometimes, to discover at the end that some things were missing, some drawings not revised, that kind of things. And I was asked to overview all of this and to flag the mistakes that were potentially done. So again, here I needed to have a way to do that in an automatized way. So I created another flow on Power Automate Desktop. So here again, there are only two manual interventions at the beginning here, where I will type the number of the action request. It's the name for like the global folder, if you want, on the database management, where the engineer will do all the work he has to do related to one task. So I click OK, and then it will detect for me that some items do not have documents, or that sometimes some documents don't have the matching items, mainly because they were classified in another action request, and that's a problem. We have to fix that. So all of this was possible because I started to get interested in SQL queries, and then I was able to ask the server directly for information pertaining to the action request or pertaining to the items, the documents, all of that. And it's very powerful and interesting to use SQL with Power Automate. That's an example here. So here I click yes, and then it's actioning the client for me. Here I'm not doing anything. It's Power Automate which is doing all the work. And then here, for some reason, I couldn't have it working. So I have a message box asking for my help. So I do a copy to folder. Oh, I'm already in the correct folder. So I do save. Once it tells me copy completed, I click OK. And then I can ask for the process to resume. So here it detected a PDF that might not be at the correct revision. So because I have actually automated recognition of characters that is working on all the different PDF to see if the part number and the revisions are correct for the document. Here it seems that it is not the case, but sometimes it's just a mistake of the OCR. So I take the choice to check manually. So I click yes, and here it will open the PDF for me and ask me, it is wrong or is it not? And I see that, oh no, it's okay, it's the correct revision. So I click no here. So final list of problematic items with the PDFs, none. And then after, what it does, it's opening for me automatically the other files, non PDFs, but files that we use to send to cut steel or that kind of things. We have DXF, step files, etc. All the time when the revision number is not 0, meaning when it's not a new thing, a new part, but a revised one, the flow will open for me the right file in the right program to make me check if the revision number is correct, because that's a very common mistake that our engineers would do. They would not revise this file, and then we will ask our supplier to cut the wrong kind of profiles in steel, and that would be a waste of time and of money. So here I can check, and I see I can trust my engineer. If the number is changed here, it means that it's the correct one. So is it wrong? No, it's fine. Okay, perfect. So now what it will do, it will generate an Excel file summarizing all the different informations. Again, it's doing it from the server with the SQL queries. Here you can see that a lot of part numbers were written in bold because they are already released to production. And usually it will mean that they should be revised and they haven't been here because it's calculating the dependencies where in which assemblies, if you like, are used the parts. But here, for the purpose of this demonstration, I have used an already validated action request, and that's why everything is actually released to production, and so it doesn't need to be revised. So here, well, I haven't checked before you if the items should have a document or not, because sometimes we can have part numbers without documents, and it's fine. Here it is a case, so I tick nothing. And here again, I could select the items that should be revised and that the engineer forgot to revise. So here I will just tick one for the purpose of demonstration. And then it will allow me to choose an addressee to which I can send an automated email. And voila, I have received my automated email summarizing the different problems in this action request. As you can guess, everything is automated here in the composition of the email. That's not the only thing I did. For action request, the bills of materials, meaning to know which parts are used where and in which quantity, are very important to check. So I have different checks, and especially with exported Excel files on which I have written macros in VBA. But well, I won't show you that today. But what I have designed as well with Power Automate, the SQL queries, and the help of a little Python program that will be written automatically by the Power Automate Flux. I will use a module in Python that is exploiting the graph theory in mathematics. And so I'm able, by doing that, and by using the result of recursive SQL queries, to graph the dependencies of my parts and assemblies. So I will take the same action request here. And that's it. It created for me a tree. And you can see in this tree that the different part numbers are showing in terms of dependencies. So here, basically, what I can guess is my engineer created a new part number or revised a part number, and it is used in all these different assemblies. And then you have the dependencies flowing toward the top part numbers, which are the machines. It was better, in my opinion, to prevent the problems of dependencies, and instead of just slapping on the fingers of my engineers when they forgot to revise some dependent assemblies, I wanted to provide them with a tool that was using actually the same processes, the SQL queries and the graph theory module in Python. And so, for example, we have here this part number MS014153. So here I'm just playing with one part number, but I can do that with several part numbers, which is very interesting and more in line with the real situations that we have. We will be asked to revise a few parts, and we need to know in which assemblies they are used. Here I will just run with one part. And again, it will draw me picture and create an Excel file summarizing all the different informations of dependencies for me. Not only, so here I'm not satisfied with the size of the picture, so it will provide me with a bigger one. Oh yes, it's correct. So here I have again all the dependency, but it's not from the action request. I'm asking the server to tell me where are used the parts that I need to revise. And then here, it's not just the information about the dependencies. You can see order here as a title. It's because actually it's providing me with an order in which to work. So I have all the different part numbers here on my Excel file. It shows me the order in which I must process all these different part numbers. I cannot process the last one if I haven't processed the first ones. It's retrieving the order from the graph here, and it allows us to work in the proper fashion. You have to consider that all of that we have to retrieve by hand before, meaning going in the client and checking all the time for each part number where it is used. Like here, for example, with the first one. So, well, I will take just the top revisions. So here, and all the time I will have to do where used. And again, where used. And again, where used, etc., etc. It was a huge amount of work. And I'm not here just gaining time with the little flow that I designed, but we are also preventing a lot of human errors. Another big project I've been working on recently is for my colleague who is working in the spare part store. So basically, we have this tool of classification here in the database management tool, but it's not very convenient for him to work on. He tried to design an Excel file, but the problem is that it makes duplicates and then it's not directly linked from the server to his Excel file. So if information changes in one place, it won't always be replicated in the other, and that's a problem. So what I came up with is again a list on SharePoint, but this one will be populated automatically from the information that I have in the server every day. Each night, actually, or rather than day, the list is completely deleted, and then I retrieve all the different subcategories that could exist in this spare part category in the classification on the server. And then I retrieve all the data that is interesting for my colleague, and especially data that is in the top node and not in the different subnodes, so he knows that it's not classified and he can work on it. And then, as always, I have an email sent to myself to assure me that the process has gone all the way. So it means that every day the information is fresh and is exactly what he entered the day before. Moreover, he can prepare here an order if he's with a customer on his phone. Here is a bad example because we don't see the preview of parts because they have no preview. Here we have. So what we can do here is send to list. So it will be sent to a list for an order for a customer. We can choose the number, the quantities, of course, of the items that we want to sell, but also a discount because we apply a lot of different discounts to our customer, and whether the VAT is applicable or not. So let's say here I enter the VAT. Okay. So I click Run Flow. And let's say that I will sell a macerator with that. I will do a different discount. Just one. And again, of course, the VAT apply. Okay. And then what is interesting here is that it will go into a list. And here I have my total. I have my price. Oh, unfortunately, I selected an item with no price. And then if I click on wrap up here, I just have to click on run flow. And what it will do is send me an email with the information and delete this list. That's it. I have received my email with all the different relevant information. That allows my colleague to prepare the information he will have to enter in the server later, but he can address the specific request from his customer when he is over the phone outside of the building. No problem. He can answer to the customer and give him a price, which is very good. So here, obviously, all the different flows, I haven't shown to you what they were, but they are working on Power Automate. Still, thanks to what I learned about SQL queries and Power Automate, what I can do as well is check if actions were taken by my colleagues that require my immediate attention or not when I'm not working on my job's computer or workstation, but I'm on my personal computer doing, for example, Power Automate. So here is an example. One person, admin, actually it was me, created an action request with this reference number at this time. As you can see, I have developed a lot of other projects. I don't want to enter into too much details because it will be very annoying for you to see everything, but just to give the results here, for example, I have this Excel file which is actualized every morning automatically by my flow. It allows to track the orders that should have been received and that are not. So here it's just a summarizing of the quantities and showing a percentage. But we have another Excel file every day that is generated and that will include all the relevant information about these overdue orders. I have also developed other things like, for example, here, the preview pictures that you have seen on the spare parts list. It has to be done independently from the flows that I created. So it will be done from here because Power Automate server does not communicate with our on-premises server. So I do it from Power Automate desktop as my desktop obviously can communicate with the server. Rollback controller, it's for monitoring certain mistakes that we can do with engineers when we roll back an item but don't put it forward again. That will check on the server the information and send emails. All of that is included in the daily routine, and I'm developing a lot more nowadays, especially. I'm starting to be interested in VBA for SolidWorks, and I'm starting to test some functionalities to be able to automatically check the bills of materials from the name of the configurations and everything, because that's something that is very tricky as well in our daily work and very annoying for engineers that prefer, obviously, to focus on the creative part of the job rather than this kind of administrative and very tedious tasks. That's it. I guess you can understand that I'm very passionate about Power Automate and Power Automate Desktop. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.